This is a review of two versions of the Hitachi Demolition Excavator made in 1:50 scale by NZG. It comes in two versions. The smaller version is NZG model 781 and includes an Okada crusher, and the bigger version is NZG 782, which has a 40-meter boom with an Osumi Shear. Both models are the same, it's just the boom arrangements that are different. So we'll start by looking at the shorter boom model. It comes in a surprisingly large box given the size of the model, and that's because it's a shared box design with the longer boom model. The trays just pull out, and there's quite a nice coloured instruction sheet with the model. It tells you the basics. In the top would be where the long boom would be stored, and in the bottom tray there's the model, and in this case there's the shorter boom with it. On the model the details are nice. Most of the cab, for example, is metal, and it's got tinted windows. And if you look behind the cab, you've got metal handrails, and the hydraulic lines are nicely modelled. Let's have a look at some of the features of the model, and no, I haven't broken it. The track frames are in fact removable from the model. This isn't documented in the instruction sheet, but underneath there are two small screws which hold the track frames in place, each one. So if you're a bit nifty with a screwdriver, you can just undo those two small screws, and when you've done that, the track frame comes away quite easily, and it's separated out, and if you're careless you can easily lose the screws. So there you have the track frame separated. And really this is one of the great strengths of the model, is that it can make a good transport load, because underneath the body there you've got little outriggers with pads that can screw down. So you can set those, and it can stand on a transport vehicle or however you like it, and it makes a good transport load. The track frames also make a good load, and here let's have a look at one of them. The tracks roll quite nicely, it's all metal, and they're spring loaded as well, so it's easy to take the tracks off if you want, and NZG give you a few spare track links in case you happen to break some. Fitting the boom is straightforward. It just hooks into place, and then with a couple of the supplied silver pins you just pin it into position, and it's quite a firm grip actually when they're in, and it's a solid connection. That was the easier part, and then you have to join up the hydraulic lines, which are made of rubber, and they press into the holes. And now this is fiddly, and can be a very irritating job trying to get them in, but with a bit of patience you can do it. The Okada shear is a heavy piece, and so with the boom outstretched it makes the model a little bit tipsy, but you get these counterweight pieces that you can put into the back of the model, and the best way to put them in is just really drop them in one at a time rather than trying to drop the whole lot in, because they can fall out of position. Pop them in one at a time, and when they're all set they add some good stability, and the model rotates very well, as you can see here, nice and smooth, very good indeed. There's a full range of movement on the boom sections, and so you can open up the various pieces and really adopt any pose you want, because the cylinders are very stiff, and that's a good thing because it means you can pose the model how you want, but it does take a bit of effort to get the right poses. The Okada shear is very nicely made, it's all metal, and you can see here it rotates well, and you can open and close the jaws. They're very stiff. Just make sure you've got the operator in the cab well briefed, because this could easily nip your fingers off, and you can open them up again to have the pose if you want. And the other feature on the body is this opening doorway, which gives access into the central area of the machine, and that snaps nicely shut as well. This is a good model to pose in a mini diorama like this one, although I did tell the CranesEtcTV team members that the Okada crusher is really for concrete, not for cutting steel, but they don't always seem to listen. Another great way to display this version of the model is as transport loads. The smaller boom fits nicely onto a truck as well, as you can see here, and it looks really pretty impressive. Let's have a look now at the high reach version of the machine. It comes in the same size box, but with a slightly different box design, and you can see that in the top tray the high reach boom is readily assembled as one big piece. The base of the machine is identical in both versions of the model, but with the high reach boom attached you get really quite a big model, and it's 18 inches or 48 centimeters as shown here to the top, and you can pose it reaching much higher. It's a big heavy boom, so it can't reach too far without making the model just a little bit tipsy, even with the counterweights installed. You have a full range of movement on the boom, and it can be lowered and stretched out pretty much any way you like, and the cylinders are stiff enough to hold the poses, which is also quite good. If you want the model reaching really high, you can open up the top two sections and it reaches up nicely. One interesting aspect of the main part of the high reach boom is it's actually made up of 4 separate sections, and these are pinned together with friction pins, as you see. And it's perhaps a little bit of a pity that they weren't normal pins, so that you could alter the length of the main boom if you wanted to. Moving on to the Osumi Shear, this is a nice little piece. It rotates, and again you can close the jaws up. It's a little bit stiff, but they do close up. So here's the high reach machine posed with its smaller brother, and they really look great together, carrying out a bit of an ad hoc demolition job. Demolition is fun to watch, and once again these two guys stand around with their hands in their pockets just talking. To summarise, NZG have done a great job with these models. They're perhaps not quite as detailed as the WSI versions, but with the removable booms and tracks the functionality is better, and so overall they're outstanding. As always, you can read more about them and see some detailed photos on CranesEtcTV.